My family had hoped to immigrate before the war. I mean, people knew that something was going to happen and it was going to be bad. I don't think anybody knew how bad. My father became a doctor. He'd gone to France to study medicine, and he got involved with the resistance. A lot of people did. There were groups all over the country, and he ended up in Lyon, which is about 150 kilometers from where we live, which was Le Puy. And so I lived with my aunt and uncle. My mother had passed away near the beginning of the war, and he would come and visit whenever he could. And traveling 150 kilometers nowadays means nothing, but in wartime, there are bridges that are gone and railroad tracks that aren't working or that are, So he wasn't able to come that often, but I can remember looking forward to his coming. He had come for a visit, actually, and now this is a story I've heard from his sister, my aunt, that he had a funny feeling about what was going on. This was 1944, things were really, the Allied landings had taken place and all that. And she didn't want him to go back, but he felt he needed to. He was the leader of this group, and so he went back. And that's the last time we saw him. They had a courier in their group that had kind of recently joined up, and she was really a Gestapo plant. They let her work for quite a while, but Gestapo did, until she had all their names and all the information. And then they had a raid on where they hung out. And they were all there for meetings, so they were all arrested. They were taken to a prison. It's still there in Lyon, called Montluc. It was a French prison before, and then the Gestapo took it over for prisoners, their prisoners. And they took him into town for interrogation at Gestapo headquarters, and then would bring him back to the jail. So this went on from August 1st, which is when they were arrested, till August 20th. And really what was happening is, the war was coming to an end. The Germans were trying to clean up. They didn't want to leave any evidence, and they were really just killing people. So they took many different groups from Montluc to some airport and, just machine gunned them. And so they took this one group. It was 120 men and women. They were not all resistance. Some of them were Jews, some of them were hostages. And they packed him on a bus, and they went to this little town just outside of Lyon. There was a cemetery there, and there was an old, uninhabited caretaker's house. Everybody was cufflinked, six at a time. So they took them in, 6 at a time, into the house and machine gunned them, and then just brought more on and more on. I mean, we're talking about a lot of people. And when they were finished, they drenched the bodies with gasoline and set it on fire. And they dynamited the house as well. I don't think I mentioned that. They didn't want to leave a lot of evidence. And in fact, it really destroyed some evidence, because there were some people that were just not even identifiable. This was August 20th, and by September 3rd, that area was liberated. Some 11,000 children were sent off to Auschwitz, sometimes with their parents, sometimes separately, and not very many came back. Oh. Yeah, so it was a situation that really called for getting away from it, just like the people in Syria right now with the barbarism that they're facing. They need a place to go. They're living, have been living in a horrendous situation. The same thing was going on during World War II. I mean, this is like another genocide, isn't it, what's going on there? It's barbarism at its rawest, and so were the Nazis. I think it's really important. I've taught about the Holocaust, and I tell people, what the Nazis did, the seed of what they did, I think is in all of us. It's not just that they were monsters, because we know that that's not a unique happening, the genocide. I mean, it's happening, it has happened recently in Syria, and it's happened in Rwanda and in Somalia. So we know that it keeps on happening, and I think all of us have that seed in us. When people feel vulnerable, when people feel precarious economically, they kind of look inward, they forget that, differences are okay. They want to find a place to blame, a person to blame, so they start blaming somebody that's different. The whole cycle of persecution and it can lead to genocide, absolutely. It did in World War II, and who knows where this is going. So we have to stand up for what we believe in and not be taken in and manipulated by demagogues, and show compassion, show tolerance. That's the big plea that I have.